one of the craziest things that I still struggle with is controlling my schedule because
Oh,
it's difficult. There are two types. I separate my activities in two. One is a list of the things that are reoccurring activities,
mhm.
the ones that have to be done regularly, every day or every week. And then there's the other side, which are fires that need to be put out, things that just showed up out of nowhere, activities that you were not planning for. And what occurs to many of us in general is that when all of these unpredictable activities show up, we tend to put aside the reoccurring activities. We either do one or we do the other. And then at the end of the day, we go, well, I didn't get around to doing this and this and that because I had these urgencies, without understanding that having urgencies and having to put out fires throughout any given day does not take away the responsibility of doing the reoccurring activities.
This is Get Unstuck Podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs who prioritize their life first, business second. I'm Mutita Panmuk, your host, who dedicates my life to designing and building a business that supports lifestyle. We will learn together from entrepreneurs around the world how they overcome their life challenges, their business obstacles, and yet still get unstuck from the hamster wheel of burying themselves into their business. Because time is the number one commodity in the world that you cannot get back once it's gone. So let's shorten the learning curve and see how can we prioritize better. Let's get unstuck. Hi, Get Unstuck Nation. Our guest today with over 3 decades of experience. So Jose Berlanga brings a wealth of knowledge in real estate investment, in entrepreneurship, and resilience to Get Unstuck podcast today. So if anyone would like to be inspired and also would like to feel motivated, especially into the entrepreneurship of business of home building, this episode is for you. So please welcome Jose with me today to Get Unstuck podcast. Hi, Jose. How are you doing?
Hi, Mutita. Thank you for having me in your show. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm so honored to have you. I'm like, wow, you are one of the person that have lots of experience, and I'm looking forward to learn more about your journey along the way.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a long journey, and I do feel that maybe I have a little too much of a journey. We get to a point where we almost say, well, we're never going to stop learning in the business world, but at some point, you do want to slow down, like you say, get unstuck and start doing other things that are just business. So
Since you mentioned that, how did you get into the business world and how it gets started?
well, it came very natural at a very young age. I was always very eager to get started. I wanted to make money. I wanted to build something. I wanted to create something. And the business world was always very intriguing for me. So it came very early to me. From the time I was a kid, I was already doing some businesses and always figuring out how to make some money and always trying to figure out how to create things. But when the time came, when I was old enough to officially start a business, I immediately jumped into the opportunity. And one of the things that it's always important is to have the vision, the combination of understanding what you like, but also what are you good at? What are some of the things that you think that you can succeed in? So that was part of initially one of the challenges that I had was that I enjoyed the business world very much, but I didn't necessarily have a product or a service that I already specialized in. So the opportunities came about, and sometimes you just got to grab them. One of the things that are very important in the business world is not to overthink it. You don't need to find the perfect opportunity to start. You just need to find an opportunity. Even if it's not your dream job, your dream business, or your dream product, you just have to get started. Once you get started and once you start learning and gaining some experience, you start moving from there and pivoting and adjusting. And eventually one opportunity leads to another. But the point is to get started as soon as you can. And the younger you are, the better. I often say that really the time to get started in business is as young as possible, because at that time you very likely have less responsibilities, less financial obligations. You can afford to spend as much time in your business and build it without having to juggle so many components in life that eventually get more complicated. Once you have a family, once you have children, once you have financial obligations, you have a mortgage, so on and so forth. It gets a little bit harder. It's still possible, but it's harder. So the younger you are, the better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. So
Well,
just like give it a try and see how it goes.
exactly. Something that we need to consider and we were just commenting on trying to balance life. I have to admit that I've always have difficulties balancing life and business, because being a business owner, being an entrepreneur is very demanding. It's almost like having babies, having little children that require most of your time, most of your energy, most of your effort, and it's hard to just walk away. Whether it's nighttime, weekends, vacations, you have to really devote the energy and the time. So the way I look at it is balancing entrepreneurship is very difficult, but what you can do is find periods of time in your life when you can focus on one thing. For example, I've reached a level right now of somewhat a level of success that allows me to have time for myself. But at first I didn't. It was all business. It was all work. It was all responsibilities. But I didn't have the additional responsibilities of a personal life and a family. So it's hard to always balance life. I think you need to create sections in your life where you devote a few years to accomplish or achieve a goal, and then eventually move to another goal. And little by little, you start being able to balance it out. But at first, I've always been surprised as to how many people I've met over my lifetime that want to be successful, but they don't understand what it takes. They're not willing to give the effort. They're not willing to devote the time. So their expectations do not match their effort and the time that they devote to it, to any given dream or objective. So we have to be more realistic in understanding that what we want and what we want to achieve is going to take a lot of sacrifice. If you don't put those together, the outcome may not be what we expect. So that's always, you have to match your actions, your activities, your effort, your discipline, your order with your expected results. You cannot expect the results and want to have fun and want to have friends and want to go out and want to have time for everything. Sometimes there just isn't time for everything, or at least while you're starting and building a business.
Because it could be a trend this day, right? That people may start a business like a side hustle to escape from where they are doing right now. And maybe they don't know yet what they are getting into just yet.
Correct. Sometimes you are not as familiar. You want to dabble in any given industry or business. And also sometimes we get into a business just to make money, not necessarily because that's what we want to do, or not necessarily because it's something that we see a future in. Maybe we're just looking for immediate gratification. We just want to make a little bit of money without really understanding what we're getting into. So we neglect to understand the industry or to do enough research. But if you start early enough, there's always time. The important thing is that you identify what it is that you're good for, what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and to gradually start adjusting, making adjustments. But I do believe that owning a business, to starting a business, it takes a lot of work, a lot of focus, and sometimes a lot more than what many people think. We perhaps have a misconception of how we perceive business ownership and entrepreneurship. We see it as a way to free up our schedule and to have more time for ourselves and to be able to control our lives and control our schedules. And it's a little bit the opposite, or at least at first. You know, once you acquire responsibility, when you have a job, once your job ends, you own your time. Now you have your hobbies and you have your freedom. But with a business, you carry it with you all the time. You bring it with you. Those responsibilities and your list of things to do always comes with you. So eventually, as you grow, as you start delegating and learning how to delegate and understanding how to pass on some of those responsibilities, now you start owning your time. Sort of, the earlier stages are tougher, like everything else. You have to first put in a little bit of extra work and energy but eventually starts getting easier. And eventually you start seeing the benefits of running your life, running your business, and owning your times.
Yeah, and because it takes those early years to prove whether this model is working or not, right? I think this is so crucial.
Yes, and that's something that we have to understand, how to be open-minded, whether it's with your career, whether it's with your life, with your schedules. Sometimes this is very, very often said that we live in an insanity type of life where we keep doing the same things over and over and expecting a different result. This is a very common statement that all of us do, but we keep doing it. We keep exercising that insanity, that we don't keep adjusting or learning from our mistakes. You have to learn from the little personal mistakes, whether it's not just in your business, but in your personal life. From the moment you wake up and start organizing yourself and planning for your day and exercising a number of activities, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, if something is not working, be open-minded to adjust it, change it, move on to another strategy. And operating a business, building a business is trial and error. Life is a trial and error. When something is not going the way you want it, you have to stop, you have to regroup, you have to organize and start a new strategy. So we tend to be, humans, we tend to be a little bit robotic. We are creatures of habit, where once we find a certain way of living our lives, we tend to just stick to it without understanding that maybe we need to evolve, maybe we need to adjust and constantly be modernizing, adapting the way that we live in order to live a better life, better quality of life. If in any level, whether it's more health oriented, whether it's more physical activity, whether it's saving money, putting money aside, organizing and managing our finances, or devoting the right amount of time to achieving the growth, whether it's business or personal. So yes, you said it. We have to adjust and keep pivoting until we find the right formula.
I think there are two big concepts of people. I mean, school of thought. One group of people would be those who would like to control the outcome. So they would prepare everything before they get started, right? As in prepare the whole information and the whole project within the business. Maybe they have many ideas to get started and they just implement right away everything that they want to do at the same time. On the other hand, those action takers where we are talking about right now, just like start doing bit by bit and then keep pivoting along the way. So from your experience and from your mentorship that you have been doing, these two groups, how they determine their success in business.
Okay, we need to understand that in business, it's the same. You have to do your administrative tasks, your hiring, your training, your forms, your procedures. And sometimes we neglect those only because all these other urgent things came about. So we have to make the time. We have to understand that the day is not going to go the way we originally planned. It often happens. It happens to me still now. As much as I plan every single day, there are some things that I didn't plan for. And I'm going to have to address them and figure out how to take care of those, but also not to forget what I already had on my schedule. So you just have to multiply yourself and figure out how to find that focus.
Yeah, it's great that you mentioned that because it makes me realize that I have an excuse and procrastinate on something that I have been pushing away because I feel like it's not as urgent, and my team just like looking at me every time when I say that. For example, website that I have to make decision, and I'm like, can you just do it for me? Because like I don't have mind to do that just yet. I keep pushing it. I totally get what you mean right now. Yeah. And it's really require a lot of responsibility, really.
Discipline, persistence.
Yeah.
Because,
discipline, like self-discipline, that you cannot forget your daily administrative things. Like it's not only the routine though, but like something that you have already streamlined in your operation, right? Your personal operation, not only the business operation. This is so true.
And we also have to identify the priority in which we execute some of these activities. That is a double-edged sword, because we as humans become very good at identifying urgent things, but we're not very good at identifying that the non-urgent things have to get done sooner or later. So we keep putting them off. I always separate those two. The most urgent ones, the things that I need to do in order for my business to exist and continue existing. But there's another very just as important, which is the list of things that will help my business improve and grow, not just exist. And those are the ones we put off. Okay. Once I've taken care of the things that are urgent, that will allow me to stay in business, what about the ones that do not appear to be so urgent, but like you just mentioned your website, or systems, procedures, hiring someone, training someone, understanding some of the things that are not moving along. You have to juggle all those. And if you ignore the little ones, they start growing. Those little activities that are ignored, that are neglected, they start growing. They start becoming more important at some point and more difficult to address. So we have to find a little bit of time to do some of those things that don't appear so urgent and that we procrastinate and tend to neglect. I have this attitude, always have had this attitude of right now. I'll give you an example. When you wake up in the morning, there are two types of people. There are the type of people that jump out of bed with or without an alarm, but they jump out. Okay, it's time to go. I don't think, I don't go back and forth figuring out if I should or if I shouldn't. And then there's the other type, which will keep pressing the snooze button, waiting and waiting. That translates to many other things that occur to you throughout your day. You need to do things. Hey, I need to call this person. I need to follow up with that person. Yeah, I'll do it in a few minutes. Oh yeah, let me first do this. Let me first do that. And we don't get around. If you acquire I got to call this person. Let's do it right now. I got to run this here. Let's do it right now. And save minutes. Those minutes start accumulating throughout the day. So, and eventually, you end up having some more time for yourself. But if we condense and become efficient, is a word, efficient throughout your day, and stop thinking about what you have to do or how to do it and just get it done. I am very big on right now. What do I need to do? Don't think about it. Do it and do the next one and do the next one. And most of all, I have a strategy that has always worked for me. Most people tend to start with a very difficult projects and leave all the little stuff for later, but you might not get to it. I'm the other way around. I start with all the little stuff, the little emails, the little responses that I need to give, answering some small questions, making sure that everybody around me is set up and has what they need in order to continue with their activities. And then I clear my thoughts, and now I have a little more focus for the bigger things, the ones that require more thought process. But it's easier to just get absorbed and get overwhelmed by the bigger ones. So we want to address those much faster instead of just getting rid of the little things. So it's a matter of strategies. And again, whatever works better for you. But if it's working, continue. If it's not working, then adjust it and change it and understand what it is that's not working.
Yeah, here's the thing. What you mentioned is there's sometimes that what I have seen in our let's say entrepreneur society,
the profile, the personality.
they may not know what they are encountering. We are too faced with the problem in front of us that no one telling us what we are facing right now. So
yes,
even though you have executive assistant with you, secretary with you, they may not able to diagnose this problem that we are encountering or facing, even because it's not their skill set or their set of problem solving that they have to encounter, because they also have their own ways of dealing with their work. How you knowing with this thing?
Well, and this is a very important question, because if you don't start with yourself, we always think that, oh, I need help. I need an assistant. I need another position to cover for these activities. But it all starts with you. If you are not organized, if you don't identify the type of activities within your business and you don't learn them and understand how they need to be executed, you can't train someone. Having people around you is an additional responsibility. Now you have one more person to direct, one more person to oversee, one more person to understand what they're doing. So if you don't understand your own activities, if you're not organized enough, you cannot delegate and pass on responsibilities and oversee that they're being executed properly. I often say that, that although being a business owner, a leader, an entrepreneur, you have to have a certain criteria, a certain identity, and a personality. At the end of the day, what's funny is that as a leader, here's one of my favorite words in the business world: expediting. When you become a good expediter, you become a good leader and a good business owner. The art of expediting is fascinating. Understanding how to push, how to get things done, how to request things to get done, how to follow up. That's all it is. It's the person who has to make sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to do. And there's a little bit of an art. It's an art form. How to achieve getting people to do what they need to do and getting them to enjoy the process and getting them to succeed is an art. Sometimes we don't know how to delegate. We don't know how to give instructions. And we don't know how to inspire and motivate the people around us to understand what the mission is. So leaders, really what they are is no longer dependent only on their actions, which becomes tough, becomes difficult. Now you depend on what you're doing, but you also depend on what everybody else around your team is actually executing. So if you don't know how to get people to produce and how to allocate specific responsibilities to specific people in your team, it's hard to grow. It's very hard to get anywhere. So part of in getting a little bit into my book, which I pride in the fact that it's not only about residential construction, that is perhaps a fundamental side of some of these subjects, but it's more about how to start and how to build a business and how to understand some of these fundamental philosophies of managing, of having the right train of thought, the mind, the right mindset, the right psychology to manage and to direct and to build and to create things. So it covers all of the different aspects, from the financial, from the mission, from the statement, from creating a team, from building a team, allocating responsibilities, when to hire, when to outsource, how to go about in doing each one of those things. But these things apply for every industry and they apply for every activity. So that is one of a very, very important. How do we manage our team is easier said than done. Really, really, if and again, it starts with knowing how to manage yourself. When you become a good self-manager, personal coach, when you can motivate yourself and push yourself and understand what works, now you can start translating that into your team and they will follow, because everyone wants to follow someone that knows what they're doing and that understands where he or she is going. If you're lost in your mission, if you're lost in your direction, then you're going to lose everybody around you. That's part of the leadership strategy, is to know where you're headed, to understand the path of your success.
That's how you lead. Wow, that's so powerful. I'm listening to every single word you say. So do you think whether it's true or not, when we see the personal life of the business owner, how the owner living their life and also manage the business, usually is similar?
There's a lot of similarity in leaders. They have different styles, they have different ways of operating, but ultimately we are obsessive compulsive. We want to get things done. We want to move forward. We want to achieve things. And although we all go around the subject a little bit different, I think most leaders have some sort of similarities. And yes, there's many attributes. One of them is you are a self-starter. You don't need to be told to do something. You create your own work. You create activities. I'm one of those persons that I don't remember since I was a very young person not having something to do. I always create things to do, and I always create more things to do than what I have time to do. So that is one of the things. Now, if you play it right, and if you follow a strategy, the plan, the objective is that you build an infrastructure where eventually is somewhat sustainable and where you become less and less necessary for your organization. Sort of like having kids. When they're little, they need you 24/7. Your kids, when they're babies, when they're toddlers, you need to be there all the time. But as they start growing into teenagers and adults, yes, you have to be there. Yes, you have to assist and be available, but you don't. The key, the trick is that you won't have to be there all the time. And this is when leadership and entrepreneurship starts getting very interesting, because it shifts. It moves a little bit from a very hands-on all day, every day, to more of a consultant type of, where you are the thinker, where you are the visionary, rather than the person that in the early stages of your business, you have to do everything because you can't afford having people to help you. So it starts evolving from doing it all: physical, mental, creative, vision, administrative, from the creative aspects to the technical aspects to everything, to little by little start passing on some of those to eventually just becoming the vision, becoming the guide and the mentor and the director of your company, which is hopefully, if you do it right, that's where you want to become. And now it depends on your personal taste, your personal level of desire to be an operator or simply someone who is guiding your team without having to be present all the time.
Wow. So in case anyone, wow, this is already good. Oh my gosh, these interviews, I'm gonna keep like coming back to this interview over and over again. So in case anyone wants
I'll
to
be glad to visit anytime, and as many times as you like me to visit your show, I would love to.
Oh, I appreciate you so much. So, I mean, in case anyone really want to follow you, it's going to be like a gold nuggets for them to like learn more from you, and also stay tuned on your new book as well. Where can they find it then?
This is very, very interesting for me because I've been a very anonymous business personality. Most of my life, I've avoided attention or the spotlight.
Why?
Now with this book, because I've been so focused on my business, and I come from an era, although I don't feel that old, I come from an era prior social media, when it wasn't part of your activities. Now I'm understanding that it is a new generation, and with my writing and with my mentoring and some of the speaking engagements that I'm doing, I am participating a lot more, and I'm starting to do some social media. So I'm starting to learn about it and enjoy it. But I never did throughout my career, throughout several decades of activity. So and most of my activities didn't really require it. I have a personal website, which is my name, joseberlanga.com. But very soon, you'll start seeing more appearances from me on social media and interviews like this one, and perhaps some videos in a number of things where I'm going to be presenting some more of my businesses, more of my activities, and some of my writing. I'm finishing my second book right now about this is a very exciting book for me that I've been spending a lot of time on, by the name of Dirt Rich, because in not in the financial aspect, but in the cultural, not only financial but cultural aspects of what land represents to all of us. It's about land investing, land development, land speculating, and real estate in general. So, but yes, joseberlanga.com is where you can find a little bit of information about me.
Amazing. So yeah, we will keep track and put it in the show note and also description. So make sure that you follow Jose, and it's already like goodies here that we have a lot of knowledge here. So please visit the show note at getunstuckmethod.com/podcast. And yeah, follow Jose so that you can learn more from him because it's amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Jose, for today.
Mutita, thank you so much for the invitation, and I hope to see you soon again.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise.
All right. Bye-bye.
I hope this episode inspires you wherever you are in your entrepreneurial journey so that you can have your business that supports your lifestyle. Get a show note at getunstuckmethod.com/podcast. Review what we have learned together today and start implementing right now. See it by yourself. The result of your consistent action are worth it. You deserve the freedom to enjoy your life. Until the next episode, let's get unstuck.